Hey dog lover, welcome to Wagging Tales Unleashed, where we bring you all things man's best friend. Well, I'm James and this is my fabulous co-host Zion, and we have a great video for you today. We're going to talk about the things that you need to know about dog body language. If you want to have a good relationship with your dog, it's so important that you know how to communicate to your dog, and when he's communicating to you, to know what he's saying. So let's get right into it. So the main way that dogs communicate with humans and other dogs is actually through body language. It's not through barking. Yes, barking is a form of communication, but it's mostly through all different types of body language. Their actual body posture and positioning, their eyes, their ears, their mouth. I mean, there's so many subtleties, and so it's so important that you learn some of the basics of body language so that you know what your dog is communicating to you. Because the better communication that you have with your dog, the better relationship you're gonna have. Now, it's important to know with all these different body languages, whether it's their tail or their ears, that you wanna look at the overall context. There's general meanings for, ears back or a wagging tail, but in and of themselves, if you just isolate these, you're not going to get the whole picture. You want to look at the whole context. For example, a wagging tail could be a sign of a happy dog, but it also could be a sign of an aggressive or a scared dog. And looking at the whole context, the rest of his body is going to tell the full picture. So first we're going to talk about a happy and relaxed dog and what that body language is going to look like. Generally speaking, your dog's body is going to be relaxed and loose. So you want to look at the ears. The ears are going to be in a relaxed, neutral position. If your dog has pointy ears, they're just going to be pointing straight up. They're not going to be forward, they're not going to be back, just in a natural, loose position. If your dog has floppier ears, you want to look at the base of the ear and see what direction the orientation is of the base of your ear. So again, a neutral position. Their eyes are going to be what we call soft eyes. They're going to be partially closed or even squinty. There's going to be no furring in the brow, no wrinkles in the forehead. Their mouth is either going to be closed with no tension or an open mouth, kind of looking like a smile or a grin, or like when they're panting, kind of like that open smile look. For their tail, everybody thinks of a wagging tail as being a happy dog, and that's true. The position of the tail will basically be level with the ground, with their spine, and it'll be a nice sweeping motion. Also, you'll see like the butt jiggle with the tail. That's definitely a happy dog. Also, wagging that favors the right side is a sign of a happy dog. So their overall body is going to be relaxed. Because they are relaxed, they're calm, and they're happy. Next, we have an alert or cautious dog. First, we're going to look at the ears. The ears are going to be up and forward, typically oriented towards whatever they're looking and scoping out. Their eyes are going to be wide open and very focused. You'll most likely see the whites of their eyes because they're wide open, and their forehead is going to be relaxed. Their mouth is going to be closed without any tension around their lips. Their tail is going to be extended out straight, even with their spine, and you might even have a slight wag in the tail. This is going to be contrasting with a happy dog that's going to have a nice swooping wagging tail. So their overall body posture is going to be even weight over all four of their legs in that ready position, ready for whatever is causing them caution. If you're getting value from this content, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell so that you can be notified when we put out new videos. Now let's get back to the list. Next, we're going to talk about a stressed or nervous dog. Now, when dogs are nervous or stressed, you're going to see a lot of what we call calming signals. These are ways for the dog to calm themselves, to self-soothe. Typically, you're going to see them either looking away or turning away from whatever's making them nervous. They might move in a curve. In other words, if you call them, they're going to kind of move to you in a banana curve. Their movements are either going to be slow movements or they're going to basically be frozen, like standing still. You'll also see a lot of yawning. This is one of their self-soothing mechanisms. You may see lip licking and lip smacking. That's another self-soothing mechanism. They might start scratching a lot. This is like a nervous scratch. And you also see what they call the shake off. It looks like if a dog is wet and they shake the water off. Well, a shake off is a way for them to release stress. And as far as some of the body language with the eyes and the ears and the tail, some of these are going to overlap with a fearful dog, which we'll talk about next. Also, again, you want to look at the whole picture. If you just isolated one of these, Like yawning, for example. In the morning, your dog just might yawn because he just woke up, right? And he's not nervous. But when you put all these together, that's when you get the bigger picture. I walked into the room to see Zion sitting by the fire, nice and relaxed. But I look at his ears, and his ears are back and kind of like pinned against his head, which could be a signal of a fearful dog or an anxious dog. But when I look at his whole context, his body's nice and relaxed, his eyes are kind of like squinty, I could see, okay, he's not fearful, he's very relaxed. So you don't want to just isolate one of these. You put all of them together, and then that paints the better picture. Next, we'll discuss a fearful dog. Their posture is going to be stiff with like a hunched over back, and usually their head is going to be lower to the ground. Their ears are typically going to be back and flat against their head. With their eyes, oftentimes they'll actually turn their head away, but they'll be looking at whatever is causing them fear. And you'll see the whites in their eyes. They call this whale eyes. Their mouth might be tightly closed with the corners of their mouth pulled back, or they might have like a pant, look like a nervous pant. And their tail is going to be down, tucked against their body, like pinned against their back legs or between their back legs. And when you look at their overall posture and body weight, their weight is going to be shifted back. Next, we're going to talk about appeasement or a submissive dog. These dogs want to show you that they're not a threat. They don't want to get into any trouble or fight. They may lower their body to come off as not a threat. They may even roll on their back and put themselves in a vulnerable position to say to you, hey, I'm not a threat. Their ears will be back, but not flattened against their head like a fearful dog. Now with their eyes, oftentimes they'll avoid eye contact or they'll have squinty eyes because direct eye contact can come across as confrontational and they don't want that, so they're gonna look away. They'll have some tension around the mouth and lips pulled back. They may even expose the front teeth. It'll look like, kind of like a smile. They call it a submissive smile. They may also do some lip licking. Man, how many times has it taken me to say lip licking? This is how they self-soothe. Their tail will often be tucked down or held low with a slow, tight wag. So overall, their movements will be slow and their weight is going to be shifted back, just to show, hey, I'm not a threat. And last, we're going to talk about an aggressive dog. And this is really important to know because if you come across a dog and he's showing aggressive signs, which may or may not be obvious, you want to know this so that no one gets hurt. Now, I think it's important to point out that typically dogs don't want to get into a fight. Even if they're an aggressive dog, they don't want to fight. But there's different reasons why a dog would get aggressive. For example, a fearful dog is afraid and he doesn't want to be aggressive. But if you're not reading his signs and you push the contact with him, he could turn into an aggressive dog. And a confident dog who's aggressive, again, he probably doesn't want to get into a fight. So he's trying to communicate to you, hey, don't come near because if you do, we're going to throw down. Now their ears, it depends on the reason for their aggression. If they're being aggressive because they're scared or fearful, then the ears back and pinned to their body, that's going to show. If they're a more confident dog, then the ears might be up and forward. Their eyes are going to have what we call a hard stare. So they're going to look frozen. They're going to be pinned on you or whatever the threat is. They're going to have a furrowed brow, just like humans. You know, you kind of bring the eyebrow down, and so it's gonna make their eyes more of an almond shaped. Their mouth, there's gonna be tension around their mouth. They're gonna have a raised lip, and they're gonna show teeth. But it's gonna look different from a grin. I think you'll know the difference between a grin showing teeth or when you see an aggressive, angry dog. Obviously, they may bark, but they could be very quiet and very silent. For their tail, again, it's going to depend on the state of the dog. If it's a fearful dog who's going to be aggressive, his tail is going to be down and tucked between his legs. If it's a confident dog, his tail will be straight up and he might even have a tight wag. Again, this is not a happy wag. This is an aggressive, tight wag. Hey, I'm about to throw down. So his overall posture is going to be very tight, very tense. The weight leaning forward and very minimal movement. He's going to be very still. And what this dog is trying to tell you is either he's fearful and stay away, or he's just, he's angry for whatever reason, and he's trying to tell you, stop, don't come near, because he doesn't want to attack. But if you ignore his body language, if you ignore these signals that he's putting out, then that's when he could bite, that's when he's gonna attack. And this is really important to know. For example, let's say you have an infant and you have your dog, and you know your little baby is like pulling on your dog's ears and stuff. You wanna know by looking at his signals, is this dog really feeling uncomfortable? Is he fearful? And could he possibly bite? You know, it usually doesn't just happen out of the blue. This happy-go-lucky dog is not just gonna bite your toddler. He's typically gonna give these signs. And so you wanna be able to read these. You know, a 1-year-old or 2-year-old is not gonna be able to pick up on these, but an adult should know these things. And obviously you don't wanna have your infant with a dog unsupervised. So that's why these signals and communications are so important to know. Also, an aggressive dog is gonna have what they call hackles. That's when the back of their neck and down their spine, their hair is gonna stand up straight. This is a sign of an excited dog, whether it's good excitement or bad excitement, but oftentimes it's, speaking of signals, what you just heard was Zion kind of getting in Obi's space, and oftentimes we'll actually witness Obi is giving signals like, hey, like you're bugging me, leave me alone. And Zion ignores it, and then Obi ends up snapping. So it's so important to understand these, and it's important for dogs to understand because they're constantly communicating to each other and letting other people know, hey, I'm afraid, stay away, or hey, yeah, I think you're cool and let's play. So Zion, bro, you gotta read the signs. So this wasn't an extensive list, but this is the basics of what you should know about your dog's body language so that you can have a better relationship with you and your furry friend. Wow, you know what, Zion? You are talking all the time. It's amazing. Well, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a solid and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below, what have you learned over the years with your dog about communication? What are some of the ways that your dog communicates to you? Like this, what is this saying, huh? And don't forget, in the description below, we have all of Zion and Obi's favorites, so check that out. Until next time, Zion and I hope that you have a perfect day.